Nkroful, a remote village on the edge of the British Gold Coast. On September 21st, 1909, a child is born here in complete obscurity. He is named Kwame, a name marking the day of his birth. No one in this village could have imagined that this child would one day stand at the center of Africa's political awakening. He grows up in a large household shaped by tradition, discipline, and expectation. But even as a child, something sets him apart. Restlessness, curiosity, a refusal to accept limits without question. At mission school, he stands out immediately, not for strength, but for intellect, for focus, for a mind that does not settle easily. That mind carries him to Achimota College in Accra. There, he meets James Kwegia Agre, a man who changes the direction of his thinking forever. Agre speaks of harmony, of unity between races, of a world where knowledge is shared, not divided. He tells his students, the black and white keys of a piano must be played together to create true music. For Nkrumah, this is not just education, it is awakening, and it begins to reshape everything he believes about the world. In 1935, Kwame Nkrumah leaves the Gold Coast. He is not yet a revolutionary, not yet a leader. He's a student in search of knowledge. But America does not greet him with opportunity. It greets him with segregation, hard labor, survival. In New York, he works whatever jobs he can find: dishwashing, manual labor, street vending in Harlem. But even in exhaustion, he's observing, watching, learning. He sees a society divided by race, but united by inequality. He reads Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, voices that speak of identity, dignity, and liberation. And slowly, his thinking expands beyond geography, beyond Ghana, beyond Africa. He begins to see a global system, colonialism abroad, racial hierarchy at home, economic control everywhere. And from this, a belief begins to form. Freedom cannot be partial, it must be total. In 1945, he arrives in London. The war has ended, but the world is unstable. And in that instability, something is happening. Colonial subjects are beginning to speak back. In smoky rooms and crowded halls, a new political language is forming. Nkrumah joins George Padmore and other activists. Together, they help organize the 1945 Pan-African Congress in Manchester. It is not a meeting, it is a declaration. Empire is no longer permanent, and independence is no longer a question of if, but when. Here, Nkrumah evolves. He is no longer just a thinker. He is becoming an organizer, a strategist, a political force in formation. In 1947, he is called back to the Gold Coast. He returns to a colony on the edge of political explosion. The elite want gradual reform. He demands immediate change. Self-government now. The phrase spreads rapidly through markets, through streets, through workers and students. He breaks away and forms a new political movement, the Convention People's Party. And for the first time, politics is no longer controlled solely by elites. It becomes a mass movement. Market women, youth, laborers. The ordinary population becomes the engine of change. In 1950, he launched a campaign of non-violent resistance, strikes, boycotts, civil disruption. The colonial government responds with force, and Nkrumah is arrested, imprisoned, but something unexpected happens. From prison, he is still elected. The system begins to collapse under its own contradiction, and in 1951, he was released, not as a prisoner, but as a leader. On March 6, 1957, Ghana becomes independent, the first sub-Saharan African colony to break from European rule. That night, Nkrumah stands before a massive crowd in Accra and declares, Ghana is free forever. But he does not stop there, because for him, independence is not the end goal. It is the beginning of responsibility. He builds aggressively: schools, hospitals, roads, dams. He believes Africa must modernize rapidly or remain vulnerable. But alongside construction comes ideology. He warns of something new: Neo-Colonialism, a system where nations are politically free but economically controlled. On February 24, 1966, while abroad, his government is overthrown. A military coup ends his rule. His statues are removed. His image disappears from public life. He is not welcomed back. He goes into exile in Guinea. There, he continues to write, to speak, to argue that Africa's unity is still unfinished. Eventually, illness overtakes him. He is flown to Romania for treatment, and on April 27, 1972, Kwame Nkrumah dies far from the country he once led. History never agrees on Kwame Nkrumah. Some call him a visionary, others call him a warning. But what cannot be denied is this: he changed the trajectory of a continent. His ideas about unity did not disappear. They evolved. They returned in new forms, in institutions, in economic frameworks, in continental ambitions still unfolding today, and in Nkroful, where it all began. Nothing has changed in appearance, but everything has changed in meaning. Because from that quiet village came a man who tried to imagine something larger than empire, larger than borders, larger than his own lifetime. Whether he succeeded or failed depends on who is telling the story. But the attempt itself is what history remembers most clearly. And history never forgets attempts like that. History produces a figure who does not simply live through change, but believes he is destined to create it. Kwame Nkrumah was one of those figures. A teacher, a student, a prisoner, a president, and perhaps most controversially, a man who believed the fate of an entire continent could be rewritten.